So let us see now what's working. Good morning, online synchronous students. Oh, hold on. Let me mute the. I've got the live stream on YouTube going on my cell phone here, and I'll just mute the audio. I'll just stop it for now. Okay, great. So let's just do a little tech check. Hi, Christina. Can you hear me? Can you just jump on your microphone? Let us know you're there.
Yeah, I can hear.
Uh, let's see what's happening. Our speakers here. Okay, Christina, can you just say hello again and
Hi.
oh yeah, your microphone's on. So there's a speaker issue here. I have asked for tech support, but it hasn't come yet. So I know I'm doing something, one final thing, not quite, but we can always do a workaround. Okay, so that's a running issue. Um, Christina, can you just say hello in the live chat? And then I know you're hearing me. The same with Mandeep. Nikhil, can you say hello in the live chat and let us know that you can hear? And then we're good. Uh, yeah, okay. And maybe I can hear. Yeah. Okay. Good. So you can hear. Great. That's good. No, it's a running issue with just too much data in my mental bandwidth, and I'm one thing I haven't clicked on. Okay. Mandeep, can you just let us know that you're there? Say hello from Planet Mandeep. Just say yes, hi, and then we can get this thing off the tarmac. Um, okay. Mandeep may not be there. It's a phantom planet. Hello, Phantom Mandeep. Phantom Nikhil. Nick, are you there? Sanjan, but Christina, you can definitely hear, right? Can you just say definitely in the live chat, and then we'll get going here, okay? Just want to make sure everybody's good there. Uh, okay, yeah, great, good. Okay, so we're good. We're not going to worry.
Hello.
So for the online synchronous students, which is Mandeep, Nikhil, Christina, San, Janabin, and that's it for now. You'll just have to put your comments in the live chat, and we'll take them up that way. Otherwise, as long as you can hear us, that's great. And but we can't hear you. But that's okay. We can still get going. All right. So we're just about ready to blast off here, and let me see. What am I going to do? Yeah, I'm going to bring something back. And I want to do finally, I'm going to come over here and bring that little display back so we can see. Great. Okay. So this is where we want to just leave this. Excellent. Okay. I think we're ready to lift off. And when we have the YouTube live stream going, that means we're recording on YouTube. So that's what I use it for. I have a premium membership. Oh, yeah, no, come on in. Good. Grab a seat, uh, and we'll leave that open for now. That's good. This is working fine. And so everything is kind of looking the way it should right now. And I'll just bring this back here so I know what I'm dealing with. And I'll go over here to put that up here. Great. Okay. So you ready to take off on a Wednesday morning in Global Leader as we figure out how we can develop the mindset and the skills and ultimately the character. That's what today's class is all going to be about. We have two guests with us that will join us momentarily, Maureen and Madiha. They're sitting with you on the couches, and very shortly they're going to be coming up on the high chairs, and they are going to tell us their story about their journey to global leadership, or at least the beginnings as they move in that direction. And we're going to be talking a lot about a critical quality of a global leader today to add to the idea of imagination, courage, and perseverance, which is what we've already touched on. And I'm going to introduce a really big concept to you today. It's called character. And we'll write that. We'll get that going, okay, on the board in a moment. And just I will say this before I do a little review, and we kind of bring things up to speed, and then we're going to start with our guests. It has been said that character is fate, and I'd like you to reflect on that idea right now as we begin the class, because this is a quality that you need to add to your toolkit of global leadership, the idea of character. And what does character mean? I think when you hear the story of these two sisters and where they come from, what they've been doing, the work that they have also done outside of Durham College in the community and abroad at the World Expo in Dubai, I think you're going to start to understand what I mean by character. And so if it's okay to just wait a little bit, I just need to do some reviewing, and then we're going to get going. Let me I'll leave the door open now for the moment, in case anybody wanders in. But yes, welcome everybody. Essentially, let me just remind you of what we do in the Global Leader class. We're into week 5 now, and essentially we have a class for humanity to help not just you, but by extension with the YouTube live stream presence that we have, and in the interaction that you do together here in person, we demonstrate for humanity what's possible in education, in learning, and ultimately in, as it's been said, bending the arc of civilization towards something greater for the future. And I think that what we do in this class, and what we discuss and what we explore, and the honesty that's brought to the class really demonstrates that there's a way for all of humanity to get smarter, and that this can be, if technology is used really effectively, it can be a golden age of understanding, a golden age of education, a golden age of learning. But there's an immense amount of cynicism and nihilism in the world right now. As I speak today, if you look at Canada, for example, we have a deepening conflict with one of our former allies, India, over the fact that it looks like India may have tried to assassinate one of its sort of activists, Sikh activists, who is opposing the government there. That's another kind of story. If you look at the United States right now, as I literally speak, live right now in the United States, we have in one part of the country, we have a former American president on trial for fraud, and we have in another part of the country a golden boy of the cryptocurrency world who is also on trial for fraud. And that's just politics. So it's easy. It's easy to come in to this space and think about the planet as a whole and start to think that there are problems in the world existential problems around climate, for example, and many others that could seem overwhelming and that contribute to a great deal of mental health disorder today. Mental health issues are probably like the pandemic was. It's everywhere in every part of the world now. And the stress that causes these disorders, which is often at the root of a lot of mental health disorders, just basic anxiety, is through the roof. But that's the darker side. That's the side we can all focus on and go, oh my God, the future doesn't look very good. But then there's a whole other side, which you're part of the future in, and that is those of us who actually see this all as an opportunity for something better, that no crisis should ever go to waste, and that we can make things better. So I thank you all once again for being part of this experiment in education, that we're able to have a live in-person class. We can be live on YouTube at the same time. And we also have a good recording that's available to everybody. So it's possible to join the class in many different ways. Okay, so I just want to do a very brief review, and let Maureen and Medea come up and take over the class, and I'm going to help them, and we will guide them and speak with them. But I'd like you to remember today that this is the first class where we're really going to spend time with our guests. And Anna has told us, the guest who had to cancel because she was sick, she's coming back the week after Reading Week, okay, from the Global Guardian. So all that's set. So before I do a little review, do you have any questions? Anything that you'd like to bring to the class's attention? There's always time to do that right at the beginning. Anything you're confused about? Anything that you would like to just put out there, as Connor has rightly put, in the open forum that we do in this class? Good. Okay. Well, online, let's take a look and see what's happening in the live chat over there. If there's anything in Toria, otherwise I'm going to come back. Great. So there's a group growing online in the synchronous group. Then, by way of reviewing for a few moments before Maureen and Medea come up, I'd like to tell you that I've been really enjoying reading your reflections, the first reflections, and you will have all received your marks by now for that. And since these reflections are posted in a discussion thread and open to everybody, I don't think that Paula Sojo or any other students that I've identified here as worth reading out loud will mind, because they are identified already in the discussion thread. So I'd like to start with the review by reading out loud a little bit from one or two reflections that have been already done, to give you an idea of what people are thinking of. And already we've spoken about Maria's great reflection, and how frank and real it was, and that it really demonstrates a desire to learn more about how to lead. So I thought I would read a little bit from this. And oh, great! I see. This is motivation. This is terrific. It's already going. Go for it. You going there? Okay, then come back. Okay. It's my optimist side. I think he's getting. It's okay. Come back and make sure you can go on the notes. Okay, that's fine. We'll get the notes going in a moment with Dami's good notes, but we haven't started officially the new part of the class, so we don't need to put anything up there. Having students do the notes together is an experiment, and by what I'm reading in the reflections, the students are liking this, our real-time PowerPoints, if you will. Okay, so I'm going to read you something, and let me see if I can do this really seamlessly. I'm going to take what's on the middle panel, and I'm going to share that so that everybody online can see this full screen. And I'm just going to do it this way. So that means that in 7 seconds on the YouTube live stream, we should see the reflection come up full screen. And if we want it actually live, we can do this, I think, right? We can go live there. It's coming. Let me just check and see how that's working. But if not, we'll just let it keep going. It will record and it will do what it needs to do. But for the moment, I'm going to read out loud something. Okay. Now, you sure there's nothing you want to mention before I start this? Everybody good? Okay, because we're going to get going in a moment with lots of good discussion. So let me just see. That's moving there. And let's see what's happening on Tori. Are we sharing that screen? Oh, I
Yeah,
see. So it
it's
hasn't quite happened
it's
yet.
working.
Oh, start screen sharing. Just a second. Here we go. Share. Okay, so now it's sharing. So let's just watch for a second. Will it go full screen there? Maybe not. It doesn't want to do that, but that's okay. All right. So everybody can at least see it on the dashboard. Here's what Paula Sojo wrote in her first reflection, reflecting back on the first 3 classes. In the past 3 weeks, this course has challenged my views on what it means to be a global leader. As a community role model, I have known through my experience how important it is to practice empathy and compassion. It has been through our class discussions that I've learned some more qualities that constitute an effective leader. In the first class, Dami mentioned that a good leader needs to be open to controversial topics, to which I strongly agree. In a society that is constantly evolving with new views and norms, a person in a position of power must adapt properly. This means that even if something does not initially align with their personal beliefs, they must have the disposition to challenge them. At the end of the day, a leader is someone who many idealize, which is why they must be open to exploring new beliefs. Now, Paula, I don't think is in the synchronous class right now. She's there watching the recordings. I'll just check. That's Paula. Okay, well, this is one of those lovely moments. Okay, Paula's in person, so we've got a good surprise. So hold on, let me come back here to our reflection and not get too. Well then, just a second. We have a moment. Paula, do you mind taking a microphone for a second and speaking? And why don't you come and sit up here for a second? And then they're going to come and they're going to take over the class and have lots of. But take this and the karaoke bit. Hold it there and so okay, we have a one of those spontaneous moments that every teacher and educator loves. And so, Paula, you're here. First, I know you wouldn't have minded me reading it out loud because it was posted. Okay, so thanks for writing that. Could you actually tell us a little bit more about what you were trying to say in this? Because it's great to hear it here, but even better, we can actually hear it straight from the students. So what were you trying to tell us in the first reflection?
I think just kind of reiterating what I was saying about, you constantly have to be open to new ideas and beliefs.
Yeah.
I think that the worst kinds of leaders are the ones that aren't open to challenging those views that they personally have.
Yes.
They kind of stay conformed to their previous beliefs. And as society is, changing and evolving, they stay in that past mindset. So I was just kind of saying that, I feel like you constantly have to be growing. And
Yes.
like,
Yes.
even if you don't believe it, you got to be open to understanding why others do. Do you know what I mean?
For sure. for
Yeah.
sure. You know, I teach another class here, a short history of the world, and we look at enduring human forces in the story of humans, and probably the greatest force is evolution
Mhm.
and change. So we have to be ready to grow.
Exactly. Mhm.
I think you're gonna see that with our guests today, in terms of being open to the whole planet. And does anyone have any questions for Paula? I have one, and then I'm going to let her go, and we're going to start with the main event today. But I just want to make sure that you have a chance to, because there is a critical question I'd like to ask here. So I'm not going to let you go without, something a little difficult to think about. Okay? So get ready, but it's not personal. It's not difficult. It's not anything that's going to make you squirm. Just hopefully it'll make you think. Anybody on, let's see, over here in Toria?
Yes, Professor.
No? Okay, so
Yes,
then
hello, Professor.
here's a word here.
Hi, Professor.
Idealize. Should we be idealizing a leader? As you become more and more involved in causes like Paula has, or projects that you take on where you're in a position of some leadership, should you be idealized or idolized?
I know a lot of people that
Hi,
do.
Mm.
Hi, Professor.
Is that the right word? Is that something that we want to think about when it comes to people in positions of leadership, that we should idealize or idolize? You want to?
It's a tough question.
Yeah, it is, for
Um,
sure. Okay. Go ahead. Keep going. I'm just going to put this back up there. I'll take a note or two.
I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking about it. I think that as a leader, whether you intend to or not, people are going to idealize you. Like, you're a role model after all, right? And if you're a role model in the position of power where you have enough effect on them, they're going to see you as their idol, essentially.
Right. Ooh. Aren't we getting into a kind of a uncomfortable territory? For example, I'm going to give you an extreme example just to think about this.
Hi, Professor.
In both cases that I mentioned in the United States right now, of Donald Trump and Sam Bankman-Fried, they both had terrific. Way to go. I can't tell you
Hey,
that
hello,
as an
Professor.
educator, to have students come in and just decide they want to do it because they want to do it is worth way more than any money we could ever make. It means there's some real learning going on here. So does Donald Trump and Sam Bankman-Fried have communities of people who idolize them or idealize
I
them?
think they do, for sure.
And what if we do that with our leaders, what potentially is the cost for us in our society if we do that all the time, and we reinforce that on Instagram, on TikTok, on all the platforms of communication, all the influencers? Wow, I just want to be like them. What happens? What do those people
Hello,
who are
Professor.
being idealized
Hi.
potentially become? I'm gonna let's let that thing hang in there. What could they become? I'm not saying they all become that, but what have we facilitated them to do? Commit fraud? Lie to us? Do what? And I'm going to bring this one person back who broke my heart many years ago, did. Lance Armstrong, Mr. Livestrong, won 7 Tours de France, started a campaign, everybody wearing yellow bracelets, everybody saying what a wonderful, incredible role model he was. And then the rumors start that he said was a witch hunt, a witch hunt, a witch hunt, a witch hunt, just like Donald Trump. And then eventually he admitted it. He was juiced, taking performance-enhancing drugs. He had a campaign, and I think if I haven't told you this story, you probably, I'm not going to tell it again. The point is, what are we potentially doing if we idealize them? Okay.
I feel like we could, I don't know. Some leaders are bad influences, and if people idealize them enough, well, they become bad influences themselves.
Is it possible that we, the ones who do the idealizing, as opposed to they, are responsible for the crimes that they start to commit? That we say it's because of them, but maybe it was because of us, because we idealize them too much. I don't know. Make dummy? Yeah? Yeah. Okay. Just want to, the only thing, I mean, that you're in a class, we're here to think, and I'm here to push it a little bit. So that word makes me uncomfortable.
Okay.
That's all.
I think it's a fitting word though, because like I know some people that will follow somebody and consider them a leader, but they're like hardcore idolizing them. Like
Yeah.
think of Taylor Swift, for example. She's literally just a singer, but some people will lay their life on the line for her. I don't understand it, but there's people like that in a position of power like that
Sure.
people will give everything for. That's what I mean by idealizing. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. This is excellent. And I'm going to put this question there, and then we can work through this with Mayreen and Mediha as well. They will help us with their character in understanding. Here's the question for you. Okay. It's Juanita, right? Yeah, Juanita. Great. Just put this question down for now. Is Taylor Swift a global leader? Okay.
think in
In a
general.
way, yeah. Okay. We're not going to
Yeah.
answer that. Okay.
For our generation, especially.
Okay,
Yeah.
Let's put aside the fact that Taylor Swift is enjoying the football game she's going to, and she just loves, she's fallen in love with, a handsome football player. Looks like an actor. It's great. He's probably on his way to Hollywood. Let's just leave that for now, and we'll explore this idea of whether she really is deserving of that global leadership tag, and whether she would want it, and whether she might even be exploiting it right now to make a lot of money. I don't know. I'm going to ask you hard questions. I can say one thing, probably we're going to read about it, or we're going to hear it in her lyrics, because she tends to write about everything she's in pain about, which is good. Juanita? Is Taylor Swift
Mhm.
just to flip it on? Yeah, good.
I get people idolize like certain leaders, but Taylor Swift is like more of an idol like than a leader. Like what is she leading? So I like that example is valid, but maybe not like
I think
That's a
she's
great question. Go ahead, Paul.
but
Yeah.
she's definitely leading a whole entire generation. Girls my age look up to her. Just in general, I think that her like brand is the amounts of times that she's fallen and gotten back up and had her heart broken, and now she's thriving and on top of the world and stuff like that. Girls see that and they idolize that. No idea why, but there's a whole fandom, I would say, that literally would die for her, and that's what I mean.
Sure,
Idealize
sure,
is kind of a negative word, like I have to agree. It has a very heavy meaning to it because it means that people are like,
In awe,
yeah.
in awe.
Hmm.
I'm so glad that you came to the class like this. You were prepared to take some tough questions. It's a great reflection. It's well written.
Thank
That's
you.
why you received 5 out of 5. And I look forward to the next reflection in your assignment.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you.
But let's bring Marina Medihet up, and we'll continue this. Taylor Swift is going to be part of today's class for sure, in spirit. All right. So. I'm just going to give, why don't you come up and grab seats and microphones, and you can go there if you like, and just, the drill, you can switch that on. And I would like to just put up behind us, and I'll just run it silently for now. And how are we doing for audio? Yeah, kill the audio. You're going to see on the dashboard right now, you're going to see images of an amazing exhibition that has taken place recently in Dubai, in the United Arab Emirates. And sort of orient yourself a little bit on the map of the world, and you'll see that the UAE is in the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. So you go Africa, and then you just go a little bit east across the Red Sea into the Arabian Peninsula, and you will see a whole bunch of countries around there. And the UAE is right on the edges of that, and Dubai is really important place. These two sisters, I'll let them introduce themselves. I simply want to ask you to not idealize. Maybe be inspired, or maybe be curious, but I'm going to let them explain about the work that they've been doing, the path that they have taken that brought them to Durham College, and eventually they graduated. And both of you were working at the World Expo, right? World Expo as volunteers. The World Expo is a showcase of international technology. Historically, it's the place where I think the Eiffel Tower was first displayed. It goes back many decades, and often in the World Expo, we see really interesting, innovative new developments around the future and around science and technology. And most countries in the world have pavilions there. It's kind of like an Olympics of science and tech. I just want to say again, and then we're going to start, that to be somebody who leads as opposed to follows, who takes on a project, whether it's the project of your life or a project that has a lot of people involved, anything where you are taking on the responsibility of leadership requires a critical quality. And Dami, could you just write this down for all of us, nice and big on the board? Character is fate. Character, that's what we're talking about today. Character. Character is fate. Character is fate. And by the end of the class, in the next 45 minutes or so, as we discuss this, I think you're going to understand, as we interact with the two of them, what character is and why they have it, and why you have more of it in you than you realize. If we can just grab it, get it out of you. So character, and we'll get a definition as well, and we'll get it on Dami's notes. But other than that, before we start, maybe you want to start explaining, your journey to Durham College, and then the work that you were doing at World Expo. Does anybody have anything they'd like to say before we really start the main part of today's class? You're seeing behind me an episode of Click, the technology show on the BBC, about technology, and they did a program on the World Expo. So you're seeing pictures of that. This is where Mayreen and Mediha volunteered to work. And so I'll just go and for a moment check over here on Toria and see how we're doing. Otherwise, we're going to come back. Okay, I see Ajoy in Dhaka, in Bangladesh, has given us a question to think about, okay? And then we can address this now through Mayreen and Mediha. How can we make sure the acceptability of a leader from a different political system? Ajoy, can you rewrite that in the live chat? And just so it's nice and crystal clear for us, we can't hear you today because there's a problem with the speaker. How can we make sure that the acceptability of a leader from a different political system? I think I understand, but let's get going with. We'll come back to that, okay, Ajoy? So let's come back to this. And is this distracting to be the video going while they talk? Let me know, okay? All right, I'm going to shut the door. And so Mayreen, why don't you start by just telling us, who you are and where you come from and what took you to World Expo. Go ahead.
So hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Mehreen Khan. I am originally, I was born and raised in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, which is in the Middle East. And I came to Canada in 2018, the fall semester, for my fitness and health promotion program with my sister and my mom. And we all were here for the 2 years, and then COVID hit. We had our graduation last year, 22. And then we've always tried to stay in touch with Durham College and, our roots. And yeah, we did work at the World Expo, which started October 2021. It was delayed a year because of COVID again. And it lasted for 6 months. So it ended March 2022. And we were there as school tour guides. So whatever students were coming in to have a look at, tour around the expo site, we would take them around. So there were 3 different themes within the expo. So it was mobility, sustainability, and opportunity. So we were part of the mobility side of things. And whatever country pavilions were there. So if you have any questions about that, we could answer as tour guides. And yeah, before that, my passion is volunteering. So I was able to volunteer for the Special Olympics, which was in Abu Dhabi in 2018, I think. And then also the World Skills. I don't know if you know about Skills Ontario, where it's vocational skills both carpentry and just vocational. So things you could do with your hands. So a team from Canada was there as well. So we've volunteered for a bunch of global events while we were back home in Abu Dhabi. So I think that kind of led us to the job at the World Expo, and it was truly an amazing experience. And we were in touch with Lon. We did a bunch of global classes from over there. So yeah, that's a little bit about us, I guess.
Mediha, do you want to introduce yourself as well and add whatever you would like?
Okay, hi everybody. My name is Mediha. I'm the second sister. As she mentioned, we did come here from Dubai in 2018. Both of us studied the fitness and health promotion program, graduated in 2020. I ended up landing a job here last year in October, so I'm closer to my 1 year at Durham College. I work in marketing and recruitment, very different from what I studied at Durham College. So you will see me around campus, maybe doing tours or just walking around. Feel free to say hi. We did have an opportunity, and we were lucky enough to first sign up to volunteer. I think it was in 2012. So a really long time ago, when the idea just came up that Dubai was going to host the World Expo for 2020, and we were one of the first to volunteer for it. Because of COVID and COVID shots, we weren't able to in time, but we got a better opportunity where we actually worked with school groups, and we were into the entire thing of Expo, and it was quite a great experience. As Marine mentioned earlier as well, that we tried to incorporate Durham College in some way, and incorporate the expo in a lot of classes that we had on campus. So we did have an opportunity to speak to a lot of people, talk to them about what we were doing here, mention to a lot of students as well, and learn about what we were planning on doing, kind of collaborating with the global class and the expo as well. So we did have a lot of sessions, I would say. We shared a lot of information. We were at the expo site and we were having classes going on here, and it was a night and day difference. So it was about an 8-hour difference, I would say. So it was quite exciting. We were able to share a lot of experiences, a lot of information. We gained a lot of experience. Again, we were exposed to so many different people from different countries. I was just looking at the map behind me and I realized that I pretty much have at least one friend from every continent. And I was very proud of myself because I think that's an achievement for me personally. And we do still keep in touch. And of course, feel free to ask any questions at any time, but we are excited to share a lot more of our experience with you guys today.
Excellent. Thank you, Madiha. It's a good start. There's a lot I can add, but I just want to make sure. Any questions at this point? Just raise a hand, and we'll get the microphone over to you, and I'll check online as well a little bit later. But if there aren't any questions yet, then I might help a little bit in understanding something about leadership. There are going to be quite a few guests coming starting today, all through the next half of the semester as well. And I thought it was really important that we have the two of them now because there's something foundational about leadership that they're expressing that may not be apparent to you immediately. And I'm going to help you with that. Okay. And then we're going to try and get a good definition of what is character. Okay. And we'll work with Dami and get a good card going on the board. What is character and why I think they have it and why you have more of it than you realize. But based on what they've been saying so far, just a brief introduction. What do you think is foundational about leadership quality that they are expressing right now? In fact, there are two things that came out immediately. I'm not surprised because I know them a little bit, but you need to have this if you really want to make a difference. You want to try, Connor? Yeah, grab. Yeah? Can you, Juanita, go ahead.
They were excited to volunteer. I think that's kind of a big thing for people to understand. Like you can kind of get out there and you don't have to do things for money or like self benefits, but you can go out there and volunteer to help out.
So they're getting involved. They're getting out there. They're acting. Remember, we talked about this in the early class. A leader is someone who acts. You think, you research, you have good information, but ultimately you must act. And correct me if I'm wrong, Madiha, but you said you were one of the first to volunteer at World. So you weren't waiting. Here's an expression that's really good, Dami, to put in. You were getting out in front. Get out in front. What are you waiting for? And then the second thing, which is sort of a variation of this, is you said you're gaining experience. Do you know how many leaders, whether they're creators of great companies or leaders of political parties or people that we might idealize, but we don't want to, we're inspired by. Do you know how often they failed before they had success? They got experience. You can't succeed unless you do. And the toughest lessons that you learn that make you a leader are when you fail. So if you're afraid to fail, you might want to think again about how you're approaching leadership. Does that make sense? Juanita, does that make sense in terms of what I'm saying? Maria? Yeah? Good. Okay. So just a couple of little things that came out from, could you tell us more about, where your mom, what country she was born in and her roots? She was going to try and join us today, Farha, but could you tell us, because there's a global dimension to your story, the global leader part. We'll drill down on leader in a moment with character, but the global part is really interesting. Where was your mom born?
So both of my parents are born and raised in India, in the state of Maharashtra. Like you would know Bombay, but close to there. And then after they got married, they moved to the UAE, and they've been there now for like 35 plus years. So yeah, that's where we were born and raised.
Huh. I'm just. You see the little cursor? I enlarged it today, so I hope you can see it. You see the little plus sign? India. So your parents born here. They go over here, the UAE, and then they come all the way over here. But then you go back here to work, but then you come back here. Oh, you help me. So I don't know where you are in the world exactly. Medea, go ahead. Okay.
Just next to Saudi Arabia, there's
UAE.
the white United Arab Emirates. It's really tiny, but it's got a great impact on the world. That's where Dubai is. So just next to Saudi Arabia. Yep, that's it.
Right in here. Yeah, right on the eastern side of Saudi Arabia. Exactly. Okay. So thanks. And so you come over. So one of the things about the global leader is, well, what part of the globe are you really from? So who are you? Are you everything?
Still don't know. No.
Go ahead. We could ask Dami this question because he's from the United States, right? But you're over here. And, well, we'll just, whatever. Okay, so go ahead. So where, yeah.
So I've never seen myself as like a particular like culture or ethnicity. I just feel like sorry. I just feel like whatever I've been exposed to, I kind of pick up on and carry that with me forward. All the people I've met along the way, like for instance, like the work I'm at right now, my supervisor, she's an English lady, and like she's Canadian, but she obviously has like the accent and like terms and phrases that she uses that I see myself like using it like on my like whenever I meet someone else, and I'm like, oh my goodness, like I actually like picked up on it, and I think like if I do it like with someone who would recognize those phrases or the expressions, they would be like, how do you know that? Like I would be someone like completely, like who wouldn't be able, like they wouldn't picture it, me knowing stuff. But I do. So I've told Lon before too, I see myself more of like a global citizen than someone, because even though we were born and raised in the UAE, we still have the Indian passport, because the country does not give you the nationality if you're born there, like unlike Canada. So a lot of times people ask us like, like our background, and when we tell them that English is our first language, which they wouldn't expect with like someone who's from India. And I've had someone at work say, oh, English is your first language? I was gonna say you have like a really good accent, or like, you like speak really well. And I said, yeah, no, it's my first language. We also have to in and out do like the English proficiency tests for like college or different purposes, but every time we both will score like really good, and everyone will be like, oh, you're doing so well, and I'm like, I hope so, it's my first language. So yeah, so it gets like it throws us off because people ask us like, where are you from, and then we have like this whole spiel to give. So it's good for conversation, you're talking, but at the end of the day, like I feel
Not
it,
very
it
bright.
feels weird to not be able to like be like one particular, because I can't say I'm Arab, right? I can't say like I'm born, like, even though I'm born, I can't say I'm Arab. But we have a lot of the culture. Like, we also noticed a lot of things that the Arabs do, we do, but other Indians wouldn't do it. Like, it's like the culture that we were raised with. Even like going back home during the World Expo and everything, when we did some of the things, like I had a visitor to the expo because we were out and about. We would talk to people. So he comes up to me, and because he was with his family, and he goes, "Where are you from?" And then I was telling him the whole, spiel again. And then he said, because when I said, no, I've been in Canada for a little bit, he was like, oh, okay, that's why I picked up on it. And I said, what? He said, you have kind of like the accent because we're from British Columbia, like Vancouver. So I was like, oh, like, another like a Canadian who would know like about Canada. So it's really interesting to be able to identify those small, different, I guess, parts of different cultures that we've kind of incorporated into our daily life, into like our personality even. Yeah.
It's great. We'll come to Mediha in a moment. I just want to, there's so many things I'm often thinking about when I'm here. And one of the things that really worked well last class is Dami was there, but he was also monitoring the live chat. And I want to make sure he can see it over there, okay? Because that was great, Dami. So let me just bring over for a moment, over to screen number 2. I'm going to bring this one. Let me just see right now. It may. Oh, I know why. Okay, just a sec. It would be. Here we go. It will come over. Oh, okay. We'll get there. Okay, Dami, in a moment. I'll figure. I've now lost it completely. But for all of you who are online right now, maybe in the live chat, we'll come to you in a moment. But let's keep going because this is going to really get rolling, and it's great. So we're talking about sort of identity, global identity, and a global leader has to have that sense of being part of the planet, right? And did you notice that sense of sort of tolerance and openness to different cultures that Maureen has? But we're going to also talk about religion too here, because it's obvious as we see the two of them that religion is important as well. Okay, so but we're still on this sort of idea of the global perspective and what you need in order to be part of the global war. Mediha, is there anything you want to add to what your sister said?
Yeah, just going back to the question of where are you guys originally from? In my head, I'm thinking you guys don't want to go there unless you want to be sitting here for an hour because I'm going to be telling you things, but you're going to come up with questions and then we'll just keep going on. But like she said, we do identify with different parts of the world. We've taken on different qualities, personalities, maybe. So we would say, or I could say maybe that I identify as a global citizen. Definitely not part of one area or one country, but taking all the good things in general and identifying with all of that, I believe. Yeah, that's where we're from.
Okay, great. Anybody want to add before I ask all of you something to raise a hand in a moment? Okay, let's get a hand raised. How many of you here, and you can raise it here in person, because we have 3 dimensions today, which is nice. People, you don't need to give a little digital hand. You can actually raise it. But for the ones who are online in the cosmos, the online cosmos, you can raise a digital hand. How many of you can sort of identify a little bit with what Maureen just said around, and Mediha, around, where you belong? Dami's got his hand up. Okay. Paula? Oh, is it? Okay. Hold on a second. Thank you. Just let me just check it. I can correct this. This is your reflection. This is what they will be, but I will come here. I can do this. Okay, that should correct it now. If there was a problem. Oh, that reflection. Oh, because I haven't stopped sharing. Thank you. I have to stop sharing. That's it. Okay, fixed. Paula, I'm pretty sure this is fixed. And now I feel really so smart because I'm troubleshooting technically on the fly in front of students live, and it's fixed, and that's good. Okay, thank you for letting us know the whole time. All right, so let's come back then. I'll leave that here for now. That's what everybody should be seeing. No more screen sharing. Yep, okay, so cancel that, come back to, and we see that. Good. Okay, so Tammy raised a hand. Paula raised a hand as well about this idea of identification, a little bit with what Maureen Mediha was saying. Connor? Yeah? Okay. What's your name again? Leanna. Leanne, right, sorry, so many. Leanna, can you identify a little bit with? Oh, it's 202 students this year, so my bandwidth is exploding. All right, but it will stay in there. Do you identify a little bit? Yeah. Okay. Juanita? No. Okay. Good. So we have to come to that. And Maria, do you identify a little bit with this idea of I'm sort of part of the globe and I'm open to different cultures but I feel more I'm part of the globe first. Welcome. Hi, how you doing? Her mother has just walked in. Okay. Janelle, since you're part of the class, you identify a little bit? Okay. Let it get started. Colleague. It's a colleague who's coming, just joining the class today. She's interested in maybe teaching. Yeah, but sorry,
Thank you.
put you on the spot.
Yeah, I love this concept. It's fascinating and interesting to me because I do identify as Canadian first. And when I travel, I'm very proud to be Canadian. And I remember when I was younger and backpacking, I would always make sure I had a Canadian flag on my backpack so that people would say, "Oh, you're Canadian." And, I've been to many countries where people get very excited to talk to Canadians because I feel like we're viewed as
Sure.
stereotypically nice people or, people that people would want to talk to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, interesting. Very interesting, though.
So I'm going to put this word again that we've had before. Of course, we've talked about complexity, which is a huge force. Thanks, Janelle. But Janelle, like everyone else here, is probably local. She's part of the planet, but ultimately she comes from one place that gives her an identity. She's local. Maybe. Okay. So, Dami, do you want to just, I think you've had that before, but glocal. Glocal. Part of the globe from some place. We haven't got into leadership yet. We're just still in that defining the globe part to understand that. Sure. Just go ahead and, what's your name again? Cachet. Yeah. Cachet, go, please. Yeah.
Sorry, I was out for this stuff, but
That's okay.
wait,
Yeah. It's on? Good.
wait, yeah, you get me. All I'm saying is, so wait, you can identify as a Canadian. I was confused about. Sorry, I was out for a bit. So you're saying,
Yep.
but I thought it's if you're born there, it is what it is. So you can identify what you grew up where.
In the course of the day, do you often think about other parts of the world?
Not really, to be honest.
Do you play any video games or are you online with anybody else from another part of the world?
Video games are boring. I won't lie to you.
Uh-huh. Why would you come into the global leader class if you're not interested in something beyond where you are right now?
No, as in, I'm not saying I'm not interested. The fact is, if you're from, if I say you're Canadian, right? You're a Canadian. Why you identify something that you already are? You should just be it. Opposed to you identifying it.
Okay, well let's leave it for that for now. Okay, we're just touching on this idea, identity, and the idea of thinking in planetary terms. It's something we always do in this class, but let's keep going and get to the critical part today, which is leadership.
Gotcha.
Right. Okay, and Dami has already raised a hand. He identifies with this. Maria, yes, a little bit. Did you identify a little bit with what they are talking about? Yeah, okay. And what's your name again? Arshpreet, did you identify a little bit? Okay. And online, we can check that later. Okay, so let's talk about leadership. And let's talk about character. Dami, please. Give the microphone to, and we're going to put the camera over there if I can do a million things at once. Okay, there you go. Camera's on Dami at the board. This is our PowerPoint maker. Go ahead.
I was confused at first. What I identify or what I relate to is
Relate to. Yes.
so I'm from Nigeria originally. That's it. Nigeria. But I moved to the States and then I moved to Canada. So it's like it's a long story. It's not long, but like when you say that to people, it's mostly, oh, you're from the States or you're from Nigeria, and then you're just like, okay, whatever you want me to be from, I'm from, is what I relate to. I know that I'm Nigerian. I'm nothing else but Nigerian. But like,
Okay.
yeah.
So when it comes to developing leadership skills, Dami, your Nigerian culture will be important to you, won't it?
I'm not letting go of that.
You're not going to go there.
I'm not letting go of my Nigerian.
You're not letting go. Okay. That's good because we want to touch on that in a moment when we define what we mean by character and what we mean by leader. Okay. Because the Nigerian perspective could be significant. Nigeria is a very big country in terms of population and in terms of influence as well, increasingly. So, okay, so let's really talk about this idea of leadership. Would you consider yourself somebody who is a leader?
At present, not really. But when I'm put into like a role or like there's a situation, then I would consider myself a leader.
And what situations are those?
I think it's more where you're like in a group and like with people you kind of know a little bit and like you've interacted with them a little bit and then there's like like something that you need to be doing, then maybe I would take on the role of a leader. Like even like while at school, doing like group activities or like at work, if we were told that, okay, like we have to clean or we have to do something, then maybe I would assume the role of a leader. But like right now, like in daily life, I don't think of myself really as a leader.
Okay. Madiha?
I would say personally that we are trying our best. At the moment, no, but that is a subjective question. Just because, for example, Taylor Swift, some of them would consider her a global leader.
Yes.
I personally don't. And I know some of us would agree with that as well. So it is also subjective on who you're asking. If you're asking me about me, I would say no.
Yet you've volunteered and you were one of the first to volunteer and you wanted to be doing something and take on responsibility. This is an important part of leadership, is that you act and you get out in front ahead of others and you take on something that others aren't taking on yet. So in a small way, that's what you did.
Possibly, yes. You could say that.
Okay. Hold your question for a second, okay? Just hold it, because I want to make sure we stay on focus here, this idea of character. We started the class today by talking about this idea that a critical quality of leadership is character. And to me, the two of them, in terms of what they tell us with their story, with the work that they've done, is foundational character that you need to be a good leader. So let's make sure we get a definition, okay? And we'll get the card. Character. What is character? Okay? Let's start a new card. What is character? It's good. I see Paula thinking, because she's already leading in community causes. So I suspect Paula has a definition already ready. Okay? we need to get that definition. Go ahead, Paula. Yes. Uh, until we get the overhead microphones working, you've got to wait until, yeah, go ahead.
I think that character is courage. It's the ability to speak out and be vulnerable. Character is to show your personality and to not be afraid to show it on a wide scale to lots of people.
Okay, so courage is coming back. Remember, we talked about imagination, courage, and perseverance earlier in this semester. Okay, and now you're bringing, so courage, that's critical. Let's put that down. We're just going to brainstorm and then we're going to write this out together. A definition of character inspired by Maureen Mediha and others. What would you put in this definition of character that I believe, as I listen to the two of you, you both have a lot of?
I think to character, I would add values or ethics that you hold, personally, because I think that's really important. How you look at the world a certain way, how you interact with people. I think all of that is based on values. A lot of times, it's values that you're raised with, or it could be values that you later on, acquire.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Values. Okay, so courage, values, and we would definitely put there openness too. Openness to other cultures.
To add to that, I think compassion or empathy would be
Okay.
towards the openness part of character.
Our job in the next 15 to 20 minutes is to get a definition together of what character means and why that definition is so critical for you in thinking about what a global leader is. Foundational. Talking about foundational qualities that you need. So we need to keep going and understanding more and consult with all of you about what this is. So Mediha, as you listen to this, Marina said courage and values. What other qualities do you think are really important?
I was also going to say ethics, but I would say experiences as well. Definitely builds character.
Yes. Experience. We've touched on that already. Okay. Let's see. Think for a moment. Okay. I'm going to go around with everybody. So Maria, get ready, and Juanita, and I'll get it. Let me get the spelling, and then I'll remember. Can you please spell your name again? S-E? S-E-Y-A? Sayan? S-E-Y-E. Saya. Oh, man, so hard. You see, here's another moment. I'm trying to understand something because my culture doesn't have names like this, and I want to make sure I understand and pronounce your name correctly. So I'm going to take 30 seconds to demonstrate leadership. Clearly, we're from different cultures, but I want to understand something. Okay, so S-E-Y-E. But then how do you pronounce it? Shaya. Shay. Shay. Is that how you would like to be addressed? Shay. So look at what I do. I'm doing my research. So should you. Shay. I won't forget it. It's in my notebook. I wrote it down. Thank you, Shay. All right. So let's keep understanding, or at least trying to understand, how we get a definition of character, a critical quality. And I'll come over to and see if we have anything here in Personality traits. Personality traits. Mandeep, could you explain that in the live chat, what you mean by personality traits, please? And we'll come back to that in a moment, okay? Okay, Paula? Honesty with who? Nice, Shay. Honesty with yourself. Excellent. Shay says honesty with yourself. It was no less than the great philosopher Socrates from ancient Athens who said that before you go to change the world or change your community, first change yourself, understand yourself before you make an attempt to understand and change others. You need to look inward first, then you can start to go outward. So it's well put, Shay. Be honest with yourself. Yeah, Paula. Oh, admit error. Take responsibility. And you have to admit it to yourself first by looking yourself in the mirror and saying, I messed up or I was wrong. And then you have to be prepared to stand up and say that in front of others. But what if they say you're weak? When we apologize or we admit mistakes, some people will tell you, you don't do that. And we see a classic example playing out with, of course, no less than Donald Trump, who absolutely refuses to ever take any responsibility for a mistake. And that's why he's in court right now, charged for fraud. He just will not ever say he was wrong. Because once he does that, he knows that all the men, and they're mostly men, are going to say, you are weak. You admitted you're wrong, and he doesn't want to do that. No tyrant, dictator, person in great power ever wants to admit that they're wrong because people will say they're weak. Of course, that's dumb, but yes, go ahead. Oof. Now we're getting into some deep stuff. When you show your vulnerability to some other people, that's a sign of strength, not weakness. That's fairly evolved thinking, Maria. Can we write that on the board, Dami? Do you want the heads of your companies, the president of the college, your teachers, your parents, people in positions of leadership in your lives to say to you, Maria, I'm wrong? How do you feel when somebody in a position of authority tells you that and shows that they are vulnerable? Won't you think less of them? Ooh. Huh. This is advanced thinking. So character, real character for a leader in the 21st century and beyond is somebody who can actually have the courage to stand in front of those whom he or she leads and say, I was wrong. Wow. Huh. It's a new way of thinking. Paula? Lovely word. Accountability. Accountability. Keep going.
Creators that have, or I guess influencers that have messed up and upset a community. In the moments where they actually show up on camera and they're like, I'm sorry, I messed up. I'm taking accountability for what I did. That's when the public really responds and it resonates with them because they can see that they're evolving. They're open to owning up to what they've done. Then they're going to change, hopefully.
Sure.
But people will be mad if they refuse to take accountability. They will relentlessly call them out for it.
Yes.
Say, why are you ignoring this horrible mistake that you've made? But in the moments where they're like, no, I'm owning up to it, that's when people are like, okay, you've gained our trust back. I'm
Excellent.
on your side again. Yeah.
Excellent. Juanita, and we'll come to Shay, and we're going to come back because we have two things we have to figure out, by the way. First, we have to touch on something that is kind of a very important, visible part of the class right now that we have not touched on at all. And that is the role of faith for a leader. I didn't say religion. I said faith. It's a bit different. And we have to come back to Taylor Swift and be able to see if Taylor Swift meets some of these sort of criteria, because we established at the beginning of today's class that she's somewhat of an influential global leader today. Okay, and we have, 10 or 15 minutes left. Juanita, go ahead.
I actually just wanted to like engage them with the topic like of being weak.
Yes.
When you said you gave like an example to Maria saying, how would you feel if someone that is supposed to lead and has been placed on a pedestal by the people they are leading
Yes.
would come to you and say, oh, I was wrong, and have this this demeanor of being okay. Now I get when you say no leader wants to be viewed as weak, because it's like, how are you leading people if I don't know how to put this.
No, you're in the going one.
But I still do agree that being weak still shows the human parts of being a leader. But when you put it that way, I personally wouldn't want to see. I think accountability will be better, like what she said. But I personally wouldn't want to see someone that's supposed to be leading a bunch of people. Like, you have a lot of people's
Yes.
like
Trust.
exactly,
Have their
and
trust.
you
It's a
would
sacred
come and
trust.
say, oh, I was wrong. I just want to know what like they want to say about like how they feel about the concept of a leader being weak. I just wanted to engage them on that.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, please.
So I do agree with that, to like accountability, just because while I was in the role of the school tour guide, there have been like instances where like you don't know the route, or something that is not in your control, and you like mess up, and then you have to like take accountability because you're leading like younger kids around, and obviously it's UAE, so it's hot, and the teachers are having handled like a bus trip all the way from school, and students would come from different like parts of the country, so it wasn't like very local. Like, it would take like easily 2 hours on a bus, like a school bus. So I think at the time, like for me to own up to not knowing something or not having the information, I think was very important. I didn't see myself as like weak when I did admit to that. I felt more I guess embarrassed, and I think, yeah, that would be more it, and just my feeling of being able to help kind of kicks in at the time too, and empathy that they're hot and just tired, and like that more than any of the negative, other than embarrassment. Yeah, that's what I think.
Owning up. It's a very good term, and I might add that but it's sort of accountability, owning up. Getting out in front is another great term we have down. I'm always looking for short, simple phrases that really carry a lot of weight. And owning up, just 2 words, but it's we call freighted with subtext, has so much meaning. Owning up. The same with getting out in front. You want to get out in front, Maria. And when you're out in front, you want to be ready to own up. Does that make sense? Shay? Yeah, let's give him the microphone and give it a little thought. Yeah, go ahead, Shay.
I was trying to say something regarding what Paul said. I was trying to say is, and when you see like YouTubers, they make like an apology video, trying to take accountability.
Yes.
The reality is they're only doing it for their brand because they have much more to lose in the game from doing that. Like if I'm, let's say, a multimillionaire YouTuber and pretty much I have millions of subscribers, if I don't apologize, it's more bad if I do. So pretty much taking accountability, but like you're only doing it for your benefit. It's not the same as taking accountability for the sake of doing it. You get what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. What did we talk about last week on this? Very important, about accountability and about apologizing, because I have a little update for you, and about what happens when you apologize and the consequences that may result. Do you remember last week what we discussed about Anthony Rota, the Speaker of the House? Do you remember that he had to own up to, well, I have some good news for you today. Because he owned up and he resigned for an egregious mistake and broke the sacred trust that the members of parliament had in him and many Canadians. Yesterday, we got a new Speaker of the House. Do you know who he is? Ooh, I'm glad I can announce something. Some
You.
news. Anybody online would like to tell us who the new Speaker of the House is?
It's you.
It's historic. In fact, yesterday, 2 historic things happened in Canadian politics that tell you something about not just owning up, but evolution, which is what Paula said so well, that we can evolve. We have to evolve. We have to be ready to evolve in order for our societies to get better. Well, the leader is the first Black leader of the Canadian House of Commons. Check it. And second, there was an election, provincial election in Manitoba yesterday. And guess who the new premier is of Manitoba? The first First Nations premier in Canada. So we come into today's global leader class with a slightly new reality in Canada. In part, in small part, because a leader in the House of Commons owned up to a mistake, resigned, and now we have a new speaker who is making history. So that's just a little bit of good news, but we still have to make sure that our definition fits and that Taylor Swift also can kind of measure up to some of these qualities. As we move towards kind of finalizing this definition of character, is there anything you'd like to add, the two of you, Marine, Mediha, about this idea of character and what you think character means in a person who's leading as opposed to following? How important is faith to you? Here we go.
For me, it's very important.
It's important to have faith. Mediha, would you say? Okay.
Quite important for sure.
And is your faith, Islam, important because of its religion, or is it important because of the ethics of being a good person? Is that the most important part of it?
For sure.
Say.
For us, because I cannot speak for other religions, but Islam for me is more of a way of life. It's a lifestyle, because the holy books, the other references that we have, all speak about how to live your daily life. So a lot of that, I incorporate it every day, morning to night till I
Sure.
sleep and everything. Yeah. So for sure, it's very important.
Okay, here's the big question. This is not a class about religion today. It's not a class about Islam. That's something else. That's another class. Could you both try to answer this honestly for everybody, the best you can? I don't want to make you uncomfortable, but as best you can. In times of difficulty, when you felt you had failed or something went wrong, was your faith important to you?
I think in those times, it is the most important thing.
Maria. Well, let's make sure all the students hear this before we finally get to Taylor Swift and see if she has some faith as well. But, Maria, okay, just so they can hear you. Is that all? No? Okay, then I'll say it again, okay, so I can so they can hear you, okay? where would you be without faith? Should we say that a leader, first, is somebody who is probably going to meet challenges? Wouldn't you say? Somebody who's taken on responsibility in the small way that you mentioned, of being a tour guide, but important, you are responsible for the children, making sure that they see what they need to see. That's a challenge. But leaders, when they begin to develop into larger initiatives and larger projects, are going to have greater challenges, more pressure. Connor, what will happen when your first most important entrepreneurial initiative, you're in business, right? And it's an entrepreneur? Finance. Okay. So let's say you are responsible for a $100 million financial plan for a company. And it is proving immensely complicated for you to figure out how to present this plan to the board of directors when you know that the company needs a lot more money. So you're faced with a challenge and you're worried. What do you turn to in that moment of challenge when you want to have confidence in yourself? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I'm religious. I'm Christian myself, and so like relating it back to faith, I think it's very important to have faith not only in yourself, but looking back into the Bible and like reading the good word and understanding what values are installed in people, and just asking for guidance as well as like from other colleagues as well. Asking colleagues, admitting that you're not sure what to do.
Sure.
Probably the first step in knowing what to do next is admitting the fact that you're not sure.
Admitting that you're not sure. Excellent. You're owning up to the fact that I'm confused. And when we're confused, we sometimes lose faith in ourselves, don't we? So Madiha, when you're confused or you've been confused, and what did your faith give you in the end that allowed you to get out there and still act and not hide or cover up or ask someone else to lead you? How did you manage to do that? This faith is important, you know.
Okay, in our religion and culture as well, there's a saying that says, tie up your camel first and then trust God. So it's doing your best and then just leaving the rest to a higher power and trusting that somehow, somewhere you would get the information or the inspiration or the solution to whatever problem you're having. So if I was in a situation where I did something wrong or I didn't know what to do, at that minute, of course, I lost faith in myself that I probably can't get through this. I can't do it. But looking back, I think about previous situations where I thought I wasn't able to get through it, but I did. And at that time, I thought it was the end of the world, and it wasn't. So in those kinds of situations, I just say a quick prayer, and I'm like, whatever the situation is that I'm going through, let it be a learning resource for me or a way of me enlightening myself, and just trying and praying and saying that send all the good my way, help me come up with a solution, and trusting myself to be able to see the signs if the solution arises somewhere around me, be it through colleagues, family, friends, or just people around me in general.
As it has been said by an indigenous philosopher, community heals all wounds. That once you reach out in moments where you're not sure to your community, instead of going inward, but you open yourself, you probably can find a solution, and that probably will make you a better leader. Paula, does that make sense given your experience and, you know, community work? Okay, excellent. Dami, from a Nigerian perspective, since you've already told us that you probably identify mostly with your Nigerian background, even though you went to the US, you're in Canada, and you're wearing a shirt that says Mars. Well, and it says matriarch on Mars, and you're a man. This is amazing, you know, so there's a lot of openness here. From a Nigerian perspective, does this definition of leadership, particularly around faith, make sense, or do you feel that there's something we're missing?
From a Nigerian perspective, first off, like religion is key
Huh.
in my country.
Religion
Be
is
it
key.
Christianity or Islam or whatever you're doing. Religion is key. And with religion comes basic values.
Yeah.
These values are also key to that padlock. So, like, I agree with 100% with what everybody has said today, because, like, even the Bible tells you that a wise man falleth 7 times, but the wicked falls into mischief.
Yeah.
So that is literally, falleth 7 times, but rise
Rise
up.
up.
again. Yeah, sorry about that.
It's okay.
It's literally just telling you that no matter what happens, you just got to keep going. Like, you can't just give up, you know? Because when you give up, it's like, that's it. That's the end. You just there's no grit. There's no anything. There's no motivation to do anything. So definitely, like, the values and everything from our culture, it's always gonna be there for me. It's always gonna be in my head. It's gonna be in my kids' heads. Yeah, it's just gonna be passed down and passed down and passed down.
Absolutely. We're coming to the end, okay? I have a couple of things. We need to get to Taylor Swift. I want to hear from them at the end, and I also need to set you up for a reflection, your second reflection, which is going to be on today's class. Juanita. And I'll help with the microphone, okay? Good stuff, Dami. It's on.
So I'll just be really quick. But also from the Nigerian perspective, if I just want to say, like, for example, some Nigerian leaders, going back to the perceived as weak, what I know, and the thing with Nigerians in general, they never want to have give anyone that opportunity to perceive them as weak or troll or walk on them. So I guess that puts up a wall and doesn't let them, like, be vulnerable human. For instance, some of our leaders, our current president right now, President Tinubu, and even the previous one, they're all very proud people, and they never want to be. This is a Nigerian thing. They never want to be. Before they even take accountability, people would have to riot. People would have to make a lot of noise on social media. That's just how it is. They have that demeanor that they're right, and they're going to take action. They just don't want to have that weak thing around them, you know. And that's part of the culture, I guess. Oh yeah, you see, like, sometimes they don't even do that. So I think it's a Nigerian thing. I don't know how it is for other cultures, but it's a Nigerian thing, basically.
And Juanita, do you think that could be changed?
Well, I've been praying for some years. I've been praying for some years now. So I don't know. I guess, you know, we're waiting for the next generation to come into power and, you know, show us the way to go.
Sure. But maybe it changes with just one person like yourself saying, I'm going to be different. And then more people will be like that. Okay, Shay, do you want to give the microphone to Shay? And then we're going to kind of come back here and start to finally finish with Marina Mediha, as well as this idea of leadership around our great influencer in the world today, Taylor Swift, to see if she meets this designation of global leader that we've established. Shay, go ahead.
Coming from another Nigerian perspective, I think you can't really just, the thing is, you have to go to the root, because, like, really it's just a culture thing. Like, especially being proud. It's like, you have to go to the root plus. Like, if your kid is raised some way, he's obviously going to raise his kid in some way. It's going to be ever-ending, like, occurrence. So it's like you can't really change something it's really in the root of the problem. It's like if you try chopping off a tree branch, it'll just grow back. You go to like the actual root of the problem to solve it. So pretty much it's a culture itself that needs to change, not the people. It's a culture. I feel that's gonna help that needs to get rid of us.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Just do we have 3 Nigerian students here right now? Dami, Juanita, and Shay? And Dami has said he agreed kind of with everything. Like he understands. Juanita was saying that, there are leaders back home and they never take full accountability until there's a revolution. And she doesn't really like that. And you're saying that, well, yeah, that is the way it is. And it can't really be changed because the culture is like that. But wait a minute. Why are the 3 of you here in Canada? Isn't it because you believe things can be a little different, or you want things to be different, and that you are living that right now? You are different than what they do elsewhere that you don't like. In other words, you are the change in the culture, Shay. By the very fact that you're sitting here and we're talking about this means there's hope. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's like pretty much obviously if you emigrate from a country. Is it immigrate? Yeah, emigrate from a country. Pretty much.
Immigrant? Yes.
Yeah, pretty much it's like you're changing your life, but the thing is you're leaving that life behind in order to pursue a different one. It's like pretty much it's like when you see people like that's why they prefer you to come as in from an earlier age so you can learn the culture of Canada first. Because it's much harder to like learn a culture when you just got there fresh and like you're like 18, 19, you've been there your entire life. Well, because I got here like around 4. So as in I still got the time to learn everything. But like
Shay, you are more of a leader than you realize because you're open to something better. Okay. Taylor Swift. Speaking of which, Paula, let's come back and finish this. And then we're going to let Mayreen and Medea have the final word. We're going to be done in a few minutes, okay? Given our definition of character, which we've said today was a really important part of being a leader, we're going to get some kind of understanding of what character is. We haven't put it into a sentence. We can do that next week when we review or in another class. Not to worry. We have a good list here. I'm going to just go out on a limb for the sake of having a great insight at the end of the class and say that a critical quality of character is having faith in yourself. Faith. So I'm just saying faith is really important. And we see 2 wonderful human beings here whose faith has clearly made them into the lovely human beings that they are. Does Taylor Swift have a faith? Oh, no, that's not possible. I'm sure she does. She has to. Don't tell me this, because now my heart.
When we talk about faith, are you talking
Does
about
Taylor Swift have faith?
just faith in
Yeah, in
general? Then
herself.
sure.
In
Yeah.
herself, and that makes her an influencer with great power.
100%. Yeah.
What's her faith?
I guess music. Yeah.
Faith in herself. And what does she want that self to do? Because a leader may have great faith in him or herself, and it's very necessary. But if you don't do anything with that, you're not a leader. You're just quiet. We might even say you're kind of self-absorbed. We might even say you are a narcissist, but that's darker. We won't go there. So, okay, Taylor Swift has faith in herself from some place. We don't know where she gets that faith. But what does she do with that faith in herself? That solid faith. What does she do with it that is important as a leader? She sings. Lovely. And when she sings, what does she do, Maria, when she sings? What's her impact on others when she sings? Does she kind of make them quiet and they sort of go into a shell and they want to be alone, and or does she kind of lift people up?
Mhm. She's uplifting for sure.
She's
She's uplifting for sure. Mhm.
uplifting.
Mhm.
Tammy's not so sure. But a leader should lift people up
Yeah.
in some way, don't you think, Maria? Do you want to work with somebody in a position of leadership who puts you down, who makes you feel small, who silences you? You will work harder if to be like them. But you want to like them. You want to be. Okay, we'll just say lift up, and she lifts people up.
Mhm.
That's all I'm going to say. So I would say that she uses her faith in herself for a purpose that fits a very important definition of a leader.
Mhm.
You lift up, you don't put down. Shay.
But all her songs is bashing men. That's all it is.
Okay.
Like literally, what she lifting up? All she talking about all the guys wronged her, like Grammy River at that point. Like pretty much, all literally, I don't know what's uplifting about a girl who just bashes the dudes she decided to date. That's your problem.
Well, let me, I'm going to leave that because we're coming to the end. I want to let Marine and Mediha speak if there's anything they'd like to add before we conclude. So any final words as we sort of bring this back to the two of you and this idea that your character and your faith has given you leadership qualities? Maybe you haven't seen it quite like that, but I kind of do.
Just to close, I have 2 points that I want to mention. Shay, in the beginning, asked a question like, how would you see yourself as something else other than where you're born, or like, you know, where you raised? For me personally, I want to add that since I was young, I've had a passion for learning languages. So when I was 10, I was teaching I was teaching myself how to speak French. So I remember grade 5, and I was looking for websites and I was teaching myself French. So ever since then, I like right now I'm learning Arabic, Korean, Japanese, all at the same time. I know I'm an overachiever, but yeah, I feel like a lot of that has come into like my daily life now, where like parts of the culture that I'm kind of like learning about is now incorporated into things that I do. So I know Koreans are known for like being really humble. So like when you compliment them, they really like, you know, say no, it's not like how you're saying it is. Like they're very like they try to, you know, like remind themselves like, no, it's not me. Like, you know, it's just what I'm able to do. So a lot of that I've incorporated that now. Like I feel like being that humble, and you know when you're said like someone compliments you, you're like, oh yeah, that's me, yeah, I did it all. But it's now the opposite for me, where I'm like, oh no, like I didn't do nothing, you know, like I didn't do much.
You're a restless learner.
Yeah.
You love to learn. I think that's a pretty important quality for somebody who rises to positions of greater leadership and responsibility. They want to learn as much as they can about the people they are working with, so they can lead something that has an impact.
And despite having the Indian nationality, I've never really lived in the country. I've only like visited like, you know, extended family and stuff like that. So I don't 100% like relate to that. That's why I can't say like I'm Indian, you
Yes.
know? So that's why that's why I said more of like a global citizen. And the second point that I want to bring in terms of global leaders is that one of the most prominent, I would say, global leader, because of how fast the religion and the followers are going, like Islam. Prophet Muhammad is seen as one of you know, the global leaders, and a lot of people exemplify, like, you know, give examples of him and how he lived his life. So yeah, we see a lot of global leaders and different examples.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think when I'm in the position of a leader would want to be idealized or idolized. I just, for me, it's more of, like kind of get everybody's ideas. Like that's the kind of leader I try to be, where like I'll try to ask like my team, like what's the best way to go, and then kind of put it into action rather than, telling them what to do or this is how we're going to do it. That's not what I see myself as a leader. So
Let Madiha speak, and then we're going to conclude. But thank you for helping us and all of the students today to maybe open them to qualities of leadership that maybe they didn't quite see or feel in themselves. But it's there. It's there. Madiha?
Yeah, for sure. In terms of being a global leader or having the characteristics of a global leader, like I mentioned earlier, it is subjective. So it all depends on your perception. With that being said, definitely try your best. Do what you can do, and there's no set limit to what a global leader is. And it doesn't matter how many people you affect or how many people's lives you're able to change, even if it's yourself, you would be considered a global leader. If it's your family, it's your own little world, that's something you can definitely achieve. Again, faith for me personally in myself and in my religion as well goes a long way. For some, it might not be the same. Faith could mean something completely different, but those qualities definitely are required for somebody to be a global leader. You don't have to have all of them, maybe 1, 2, no problem at all. But I think we all are global leaders in one way or another.
Thanks, Madiha. That's terrific. Thank you all. And we're running a little late. I simply want to say the second reflection, I will announce it on DC Connect, but I can tell you right now as well, you will be reflecting on today's class and what stood out for you. But I will put the actual official instructions exactly where the first reflection was in the discussion thread. So for the second reflection. So for those of you who are now in person, for those of you who are online, you may want to put some notes down now about what stood out for you for today's class as the beginning of your second reflection. It will be due next week. Okay? Great, everybody. Thanks, Dami. Just leave the notes there, and you know where to find me. See you all next week. Take care. Great. Thank you both. Yeah, good. I'm so glad we have a recording of this so we can share this and get out. Really? Thanks a lot. Yeah. Okay. Well, do you have to run right now? Do you have to? If you've got just a couple of minutes, and then great, and I can say hello to your parents. Good. Okay. So let me just clean up here and first save the live chat before I lose that. Okay. See you, Connor. Take care. I'll see you in the afternoon, I guess. Yeah. Good. Okay. Let's see what we have here. Just a second. And where is? Oh, here it is. Okay. All right. Where do we have? Yeah. Thanks, Paula. We'll see you. Yep. Okay. Well, I'll get that afterwards. Yes. Sure. Let me shut this so they don't hear. Okay.